Hey guys, this is Tom here for the second episode of the AoStation. Noah's not here today, but he will be back next Monday. Do not fret. Today we're going to be talking about Dota 2, Dota 1, League of Legends, and Heroes of Earth. There we go. So let's jump right into it. Dota 2. There's a new patch that just came out recently. They released two heroes, Spirit Breaker and the Silencer, who are very iconic Dota 1 heroes. They also released a bunch of patch notes, as you can see. And most of them are actually from the Dota 1 patch that came out last week. So, as you can see here, they added the Axe buff. They changed Axe. They buffed him in pretty much every aspect, but they also added in those little utility things like the bonus movement speed buff when he battle hungers, and the bonus movement speed AoE buff when he kills someone with Kung Blade. They also nerfed Anti-Mage a little bit, which is good because recently he's been dominating the closed beta, simply because there aren't that many people that counter him currently in the beta. And because he's a hard carry. Hard carries are supposed to dominate. They pretty much seems pretty average. I don't think there's anything that really differs. Excuse me. I don't think there's much that differs from the Dota 1 patch, but we will see. No. I'm just joking. I have no idea. But they did add the 5 extra items that were introduced in the Dota 1 patch, such as the Rod of Atos, blah, 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 blah. So if you guys want to see more about that, you can read the patch notes, or you can watch the last episode of the AoStation, whichever one you want. But basically, the Rod of Atos is it's a intelligence character's alternative to Yule's or Ginsu's. It slows a target unit, and it gives you a little bit of intelligence and a little bit of health. So if you need early game health and a basic disable, that's a good item for you. Heaven's Halberd is the upgrade to. It's not an upgrade. Excuse me. It builds off of Sange. So if you are a strength character that uses Sange, you can upgrade it to Heaven's Halberd, and it also uses Talisman of Evasion. That's what they call it. Sure. And Ring of Aquila, it combines Ring of Bacillus and Wrathbands. So not really anything special. Just combines the two items. Abyssal Blade is the most expensive item in the game currently. It combines off of Cranium Basher, and it's for your late game strength carry that uses Basher. I don't necessarily know if it's actually viable, but we'll see as it goes. It also stuns people. You have a single target stun. Tranquility Boots is kind of like Striders from Heroes of Earth, if you're familiar with that game. It gives people who are out of combat bonus movement speed, and it also gives you a little heal, which is interesting. Not really much else that came into this patch. Obviously, there's a lot of words here, but you've seen it all before in the last Dota 1 patch. But I want to actually talk to you guys a little bit of a rant about the two new heroes that were implemented, Spirit Breaker and the Silencer, because I think they kind of represent the difference between Valve and Ice Frog's way of making Dota and S2's way of evolving Heroes of Earth from Dota. Basically, what S2 did was they took Dota, copied it over, gave it better graphics, and that was Heroes of Earth. Obviously, over time, they made it their own. They made a lot of changes. They made it very unique. But in doing so, they changed a lot of things that were very much key to Dota. Like, they were very Dota-y things that they changed. And it's in a stark contrast to how Valve and IceFrog have kind of been taking the Dota 2 beta, is that they aren't really changing anything. They're kind of just copying over Dota just as it is. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing or not. I am a fan of Dota 1, obviously, but I do acknowledge that it wasn't the best game ever. And a good example would be these two heroes, Spirit Breaker and the Silencer. Now, Spirit Breaker in Dota was changed a fair amount. His name is Rampage in Dota, and not Dota, excuse me, Heroes of Earth. And they changed a lot about him. They made his charge, I think they made his charge deal damage. If it doesn't, then excuse me, but it's much more effective in Han. They also added a cooldown to his bash, which is a good idea, but I don't know if it's necessarily game-breaking. The big thing is his ultimate. They gave him Batrider's ultimate, which chains a person and keeps them, pulls them along with you. It's similar to Skarner's as well in League of Legends. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good change, But it's an interesting change because it changes the hero fundamentally. He stops becoming like he stops becoming a very hard carry and more of a support slash ganker. Even though he was already a support slash ganker, Nether Strike is very good for finishing off people, whereas his ultimate grabs a single person, takes them out of the game permanently, but relies on other people to really damage them. And the Silencer is very iconic of Dota 1, but he's also not a very good hero, let's be honest here. He's a support intelligence character and a hard carry all in one. He doesn't have a movement ability, and he relies on silencing people. He has a move that isn't really effective late game, an aura that's really good, a global silence, and his carry ability, which deals true damage based on his intelligence. But he's not a very good hard carry when it comes to being a hard carry, and he's not a very good support compared to other supports. So he's kind of like a middle ground, doesn't really fit in kind of character. And S2 actually acknowledges this, and they're thinking about changing Vindicator, which is the S2 equivalent of Silencer. But I really doubt IceFrog will ever change him, just because he's so part of what Dota is. So I think that those two characters really represent the difference between S2 and Valve and IceFrog and the way that they want to make Heroes of Newerth and Dota 2 respectively. But I don't know necessarily which one's better or which one's worse, but we'll see in the end, won't we? Talking about Dota, the next game we're going to be talking about is Dota 1. Not really much has been changed, except they nerfed the Fire Panda, they nerfed the guy on a horse, and they buffed the Goblin Shredder. And they removed all the Christmas stuff, excuse me. But that's not very interesting. They also fixed a bunch of bugs, which is also not interesting at all. Next is League of Legends. And this is actually going to be a little bit of a rant for me because this character represents everything that's good about Riot Games. And I talk a lot of crap about Riot Games and about League of Legends and about how it's not a good game, but this character is redeeming. Maybe not of the whole game, but definitely of their creative style. One of the things that keeps League of Legends unique from all the other AOS is that each character has a passive that you get from level 1. And this character's passive is Frost, which every attack she makes reduces the enemy's movement speed. And I'm a Dota is a Warcraft 3 map or a mod, and I've been making these maps for a long time now, so I know a little bit about how to create a hero and how to make inner synergy within the hero and how to make things interesting. And I always thought that League of Legends passives were a very interesting way to do that. But the problem with a lot of League of Legends passives is that they don't really interact with the hero at all. You look at heroes like, what's his name? Nasus. His passive is literally just lifesteal. Although that's an effective passive, it's not very interesting and it doesn't synergize with any of his abilities. And it's just, it could have gone to a hard carry and have been of better use. But this character has a very interesting passive because it gives her a very unique debuff. And all of her skills interact with that debuff, which is exactly how it should be. So big props to you, Riot Games. Congratulations. Let's go over to the next of her abilities. Her second ability is, or her first active ability, excuse me, is Arctic Assault, where she charges and deals magic damage and applies frost to enemies that get hit, and she stops when she hits an enemy hero. So that's interesting because it applies the frost, which is her debuff. It's her passive. It's unique to her. Now the effect of the debuff isn't necessarily unique, but the passive, like the name of the debuff it is a unique debuff. She doesn't just slow them, she frosts them. She adds frost to them, and that interacts with all her other abilities. Northern Wind creates a Arctic storm around her, which deals magic damage, but the damage is increased on people that are frozen or frosted or under her frost debuff. So that's interesting. You want to hit people to apply the frost debuff or Arctic Assault through them and apply the debuff, and then Northern Winds will deal more damage. Permafrost is her third ability, which converts frost on nearby enemies into permafrost, which deals magic damage and increases the movement speed slow. That's great. It's perfectly, it makes perfect sense. It synergizes with her other skills and it works with her passive. Great job. And her ultimate, although it's not necessarily interesting, it's effective. She throws her weapon and stuns the first enemy hit and stuns everyone around them as well. Deals magic damage and applies frost. So what that does is it gives her a reliable, not a reliable, but a good stun, good AoE damage, and a good way to apply frost in an AoE without charging in. So yeah, there's not really much I can say. She looks like a great hero. I want to play her. Good job, Riot. That's the best hero I've seen out of Riot Games in at least a year. So I'll show you guys what she looks like up close. There you go. She looks very good up close. She's a very nice model. I do have to say, a lot of people rag on League of Legends for having like cartoony graphics, but those graphics look really good. They do. They look really good. The art team in Riot Games is very good. I have to give them props for that. Now let's go on to Heroes of Newerth. Now, as you can probably tell by this image, they have kind of a Phoenix theme going on, and that's simply because they added a new alt avatar for Amon-Ra, which makes him a Phoenix, which looks really cool. If you guys can check out the video in the description, but it looks really cool. But the only problem is Amon-Ra is a melee hero, so as a Phoenix, he's gonna peck people to death. It looks nice, whatever. I'm sure not many people will complain about what it looks like. What they'll be complaining about is the fact that it costs 3,000 silver coins. Not really much to say about this patch, except that they fixed a bunch of stuff that should have been fixed already. One interesting thing I wanted to bring up, though, is this little thing at the bottom where it says, gold gained from creeps and neutrals now normalizes over time. I didn't know there was a problem with gold gain. The example they use is 2 heroes farm a lane for 20 minutes getting equal creep kills. Before this patch, their gold values would have differed greatly. Now they will have nearly equal amounts of gold. Now, could you please answer me this one question? How does that make any sense? If they're farming the same creeps for the same amount of time, and they get each creep kill, how could their gold differ at all? I mean, it's it's good to know that it's now fixed, but I didn't know that was a problem. Seems kind of bizarre. But the hero looks pretty, or the alt avatar, excuse me, looks pretty. And you can see here the new free hero lineup. Excuse me. It seems like you got a hard carry here, soft carry ganker, soft carry support, hard carry, soft carry, pusher, ganker, ganker, nuker, soft carry, nuker, support. Seems like a pretty good mix. Maybe a few less nukers than everything else, but seems good. At least they're not packing on all the hard carries. What I saw originally when Heroes of Newerth went free to play was they made like half the free roster hard carries. I would hate to be a free player if at that time, because everyone would just pick characters like Nighthound and Predator and just lose the game. But luckily, I'm a legacy account, so there you go. I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but I don't care. Maybe it's in here? No, I don't think so. That's it, guys. I will see you guys next week. Noah will be back, and I hope the quality of the audio and visual is much improved from last time. Just let's be honest, we had a lot of issues. Like the video was split into multiple videos, and the audio was way too loud, and the quality was awful. But now I think I've fixed a lot of these problems. If you guys have a problem with how the quality of the show, or the format of the show, I'd be interested to listen to suggestions. If you guys want me to take a speech class, I'd be willing to do that. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. If you have any suggestions or any special information you guys want to send me, like any patches I missed, you can email them to AoStation, or it's AoStation at gmail.com. That'll be in the description. And I will see you guys next time.